Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make Ted Lasso's biscuits. Now, you may know that Ted Lasso is a character or a television program on Apple TV, a comedy show, where his manager is an American guy who comes over to the UK and manages a football team. And he makes these biscuits to ingratiate himself with the owner of the club. And in actual fact the biscuits are really just a shortbread, but Apple, who make the TV program, have released what they say is referred to as the official Ted Lasso biscuits recipe, so that's what I'm going to make. Very, very simple, only 4 ingredients, and so I'll go on to start with those ingredients. And so for this I have 250 grams, which is 1 2/3 cups, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 75 grams, 3/4 of a cup of icing sugar. I have 1.5 grams, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, and 227 grams, 1 cup of softened unsalted butter. That's all the ingredients. And I have here an 8-inch cake tin. You could use a 9-inch square cake tin, but I'm using an 8-inch square cake tin, which I have greased and lined with parchment paper. So the first thing we need to do is to make our dough, which is by fluffing the butter up, adding the icing sugar, and then adding the salt and the flour. So I'm going to put my butter into the bowl of my stand mixer, and I'm going to whisk that to make it nice and fluffy, scraping down the sides as I need to. So with that butter nicely whisked, I'm going to add in my icing sugar a little bit at a time and whisk it to get that fully combined. And that's nicely whisked. So I'm going to put my salt into my flour, just sprinkle it over the top like that, and I'll just give that a bit of a stir around. And I'm going to add that into my bowl, but I'm going to change my attachments to my paddle attachments. So I'm going to pour my flour in with the salt. I'm going to mix that until it's all fully combined. And that's fully combined very easily. So then I'm going to put that into my prepared cake pan. And then I'm going to spread that out fairly evenly over the base. And I'm going to put that into the fridge, and I'm going to chill it for at least an hour. I want that to firm up because my butter is very, very soft. It's hot in here today. I want that to firm up, and I will just level it off just a little bit more. And then as the hour comes to an end, I will preheat my oven to 150 degrees Celsius, 300 Fahrenheit, and I'll be ready to bake this. But I'll come back before that because I want to just level it off slightly more and then score some lines in it ready for cutting later. So my oven is now preheating, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this into 4 strips in one direction and 3 strips in another direction. So these are going to be 5 centimeters in width, and the other ones will be, I think, 6 2/3 centimeters in width. So it will give me little rectangles, but you can cut them whatever size you want. I'm just going to score them like this, and they will join up again during baking, but it should make it easier for me to cut them later on as well. And you don't have to be too precise. As you can see, I wasn't very precise with that one there. And that's good like that. So I'm going to put those into the oven, and I'm going to bake them, and the Ted Lasso recipe says between 45 and 60 minutes, and I'll go with that, but I tend to think that I'm going to rather on the closer to the 60 minutes than the 45 minutes, because I want them to colour nicely and make sure that they're baked all the way through. But once they've baked, I take them out of the oven, and I'll leave them for 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and we'll cut them again before we leave them to cool completely and have a taste. I baked the Ted Lasso biscuits for an hour. I checked them after 45 minutes and I didn't think they coloured enough. I didn't think they would do. And I baked them for an hour. Then I took them out of the oven and left them in the tin. But I have to say that after 45 minutes, I took them out of the oven and I just gently scored them over the lines which I'd already created, just to make it easier later on. Then I put them back in the oven for the last 15 minutes. So then I took them out of the oven after an hour and left them in the tin to cool down for 10 minutes. And then I took them out of the tin and put them onto a wire rack to cool completely. And this is what they look like. So as you can see, they've coloured quite nicely, and I've cut them and they're cooked all the way through, as you can see, and they've cooked on the bottom. So they should be nice and tender. I'll have a taste of this one. Lovely and tender, soft and buttery. A typical shortbread really, and a very basic shortbread. You could, if you wanted to, put just a little bit of vanilla extract in. You could even put a little bit of lemon zest in. But these are the Ted Lasso biscuits, and he just has those 4 ingredients by all accounts. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, and that will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.